Alright, so now let's see the project service automation application demo in Dynamics 365. So here we are in Dynamics 365, and now when you are working with the latest trial that you will sign up, you will see the project service from here. Okay, you can see the app selector and you can click on the project service and you will see only the unified interface. Okay, so Microsoft is rolling out only the unified interface now, and they will discontinue the web version. So whenever you sign up for the new trial, you might not even see the web version of project service. So what we'll do, we'll click on this app selector, and then here we click on project service. So it opens it in the unified interface, right? So here you can see that you have project service. You can open the navigation, and here you can see all the activities or all the tasks that are available. So my work explains the dashboard. So this is the dashboard. Then users can enter the timesheets here, right? The resources that you have. So they can just click time entries and they can just click new, and from there they can pick for which date they are entering the timesheet, how many hours they have spent. Okay, so currently we don't have any resource, that's why it is giving this message. So, and also the project and other things. So first we go and set up. So here you need to set up the organization units. Basically this explains what are the offices you have, right? Then what is the work hour for your organization, how many hours your team work for the projects or the resources work. So maybe it's a morning shift like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or maybe if it's a night, then you define that the working hours there. Next is the booking status. This is something is a setup, just shows that when you're booking the resource, these are the different statuses available. You don't have to change anything here. Next is the requirement status, similarly to this. Then we have requirement priorities. The other important things we have is the expense categories and transaction categories. So here you put all the expense categories that you will be billing to the customer. So airfare, or maybe hotel, or maybe like a travel expense or meals expense. So those kind of categories you can define. Next you have the invoice frequencies. So how frequently you're gonna bill to your customers, right? So that's something you define here. It's a monthly, weekly, those kind of things you can define. Here you define the price list. So price list explains what you are going to bill to your customers, that is called the sales price, and what is the actual cost you incur when you are deploying resources for a project, that is a cost price. So we have two prices available, and once you define the cost price, you go to the organization unit, and in the organization unit you define that what is a cost price, and for each cost price you define that what is the cost of each resource. Okay, so that's something you can do here. After that, like before you can actually start working, you need to set up all those things. You need to go to like resources, and here you need to define the resources, right? So you can just click on new resource, and resource type can be user, can be generic, can be contact, account, equipment, and other things. So let's say for example we have contact, so we just select here, we can select a contact, and the name is there and which time zone they work in. So that's something you can select, and we just save it. So now we have this resource available, and we can just set the work hours also. So you can just click show work hours and what is the time they work in case if you want to change. You can click new weekly schedule, and here you can define that okay, what will be the working hours, like they will work from which time to which time, are there any breaks, that's something you can define, and do they work all days or just the weekdays, those kind of things. You can just click save and close, and here you will notice that the schedule has changed. So once you have defined this, you can also define the roles for the resources. Okay, so it's like for example project manager, team member, solution architect, or technical consultant, or functional consultant. So those are the roles available, and then you assign those roles to the resources. Then you can also define the resource skills, what they are good at, okay, what kind of skills they have, and based on that it will help you plan the resources and pick the resources for the project. So those things you define. Also you define the proficiency model, is like are they proficient, high proficiency, low proficiency, or normal. Those things you can define. Once you have done this, the next step is to start with the opportunity. So you can click here, and here let me see if we have any opportunities for project. So you can create a new opportunity here. Now you'll notice that this is the same opportunity entity, but the form is related to project. So if you see that in sales it's a different form, but for opportunity it's a different form. So here you can put like project implementation, that who is the customer for this. You can just select the customer here, and is there any contact that you can select, who is the account manager, then which company or which branch of yours will execute this project, when do they want to purchase, what is the currency, what is the product price list, right? So those kind of things you can define here. Do you want revenue to be user calculated or system? You can define what is the budget they have. You can put here what is the probability of winning this project, 95%. The rating is hot. The purchase process, it is done by committee. So those kind of things you can define. In case if you're not sure what exactly you need to enter, you can go through the business process flow that you have here. So here you can see that, right? So did you identify the decision maker? Yes. Then you can move to the next stage. So when you move to the next stage, then you have different activities. So what does the customer need? Proposed solution. Did you identify stakeholders? So those kind of things you can capture here, and you can keep moving. Next thing you need to do is you need to define the projects baselines and product baselines. So here, for example, if you are doing the implementation for Dynamics 365, then products can be your Dynamics 365 subscription licenses or number of users that you will be selling to them, right? So that's a product. And the project service could be the implementation of the project, or expenses for the project, or the training for the particular project, right? So you can have multiple lines in here. So let's do that quickly once. So just click on new, add new opportunity line, and this will be the project baselines, and here we'll put it's a implementation. Okay, what is the customer budget? We can put here. And billing, do you want to bill it as time and material or fixed price? We'll just put time and material because implementations are mostly time and material, which you will bill when what is actually that is being done, right? So that you can see here. So you can just refresh here, and you can see this is the opportunity line created, right? So similarly, you can define the product baselines as well. Now, once this is done, all you need to do is just go to the quotes. The next step is to quote and click here to add a new quote. So whatever the opportunity lines you have defined here, then those will be captured automatically. So we'll just click create new quote, and you will notice that, okay, all the information that you have mentioned is copied here. And then you can go to the quote lines, and you will see that particular project line is also copied from the opportunity. Now this is a quote. So we can open this particular line, and from that quote line, you can define the project. Now you can do the detailed planning, like what will be the schedule, what will be the resources that will be working on. So you can just click a new project, and here you can define. So it's a implementation project. Description you can put, and if you want to use any template that you have, then you can use, it will automatically pick up all the details. Which contracting unit, so we'll take the by default one. Estimated start date, the number of hours, maybe like it's 4,500 hours. What is the cost? Those kind of details you can put, and you can just save. So now once you have created the project, it's time for you to go in detail and define in detail. So I'll just click on that project, and it opens up here, and here you can define the schedule. So schedule, which was earlier called work breakdown structure, now it is called schedule. Here you define all the activities that you perform, right? So you can just click add all the tasks. You can add here, you can put the number of hours that are required for each task. System will automatically pick up the number of duration. Here you can add the resources. So you can either pick the actual resource, or you can just create a new resource requirement. So you can just click create, and here you can say like I need a functional consultant. Okay, and what will be the role? So role you can define, you need to create a role that we do not create. So I'll just put team member here. We just save it, and this resource will be required. And when you click on the team here, you will see that those resources are defined, and from here you can just generate the requirement and book a resource, and then you can start working on this. So like this you can do the planning. Let's go back to the quotation. So this is the quote. So once you identify all the details and you did the detailed planning, you identify that what is the actual price of the project, the budget, everything, and then you need to send it to the customer. And once they find that everything is good, you can just close this as one. So let's click close as one. We'll say okay. And once you click close as one, it is going to create a project contract. And in the project contract, you can define that when do you want to bill the customer, right? Those kind of things. So here you can see you have contract lines. So project baselines are also copied from the quotation. So that's the best way. It will keep moving forward. And then you define the invoice schedule. So when do you want to generate the invoice? So invoice frequency you need to define here. Then what is the billing start date? And then here you can generate the invoice schedule. So it will give the number of lines, and based on that, system will generate invoices which you can send it to the customer. So that's how you can execute the projects. Now, once the contract is signed, the resources can go to the time entries and they can book times here, right? So how many hours they worked. Then also expenses can be booked here, right? And then the project manager or the person who's going to need to approve these timesheets and expenses will see all the details here, and either they can approve it or reject it. And once you approve those timesheets, it will generate the actual billing for the customer, which you can bill and receive payment, right? So before you can actually start working on the project, you need to confirm the project here. And once the project is complete, you can just click like create invoice on the periodic basis, right? So those kind of things can be done. And finally, you can close the project. So this is a very quick overview of the project service automation. Okay, it goes a lot in detail, and that's something we cover. We have the project service automation mastery course, and in case if you're interested, you can definitely take that to learn more about it. But this is the quick overview on showing you how you can navigate through the application of project service, and also how you can do a basic transactions, right? So that's for this video, and I will see you in the next video tutorial.